Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today we are looking at the Galor class destroyer from the Cardassians. So there are two different types here that are listed on Daystrom's website. Now, this is the one that I think everyone is used to seeing. There is a Type 1. So let's look at the Type 1 really quick, and then we'll get into the Type 3. I think the Type 1 is really a older design that might have popped up once or twice or something. There is no write up on the Type 1, but there is a write up on the Type 3. So, medium cruiser, there's about 485 built in total, with 268 of them having been lost. This has got one high power phaser bank, six medium power spiral wave disruptors, and this is with 100 rounds. So I don't know how you really want to figure that. I'm thinking what it's talking about is a torpedo, some torpedo launchers with about 100 rounds. Um, just want to keep that in mind here. Let's see, standard shield system with a total capacity of 672,000 terajoules, heavy uh, Kellandide, double hull plus 5 centimeters high density armor, standard level structural integrity field. Now, the older version has a normal warp cruise of 6, maximum of 8, max rated is 8.5 for 6 hours. What we do know is a beam firepower of 180, so this must mean that whatever the spiral wave disruptors, they were a ammo based energy round, because there is no torpedo or weapon range accuracy listed here. Um, Very reminiscent as to what we would see from like Star Wars with the Clone Wars, where essentially you have these giant battery cells or whatever that would be pre-charged and ready to go, and then that's how you're getting your energy to shoot out. Okay, we have a shield strength of 248.89, a hull rating of 620, a speed of 654, combat maneuverability of 4,000. Overall shield strength is 203. Approximate equivalent of a Starfleet Grade 2 for diplomatic capacity. An expected hull life of 50 with standard and minor refits every 2 years, major refit every 16. So, getting into our Type 3, which this has got actual names here, um, backstage sources, and so on and so forth here. We actually get more into this. And we also have a write up. So let's go through our write up. What we have, the Galor is the mainstay of the Cardassian fleet, making up over half of their total naval forces. When it first entered into service in the 2340s, the Galor was intended to oppose smaller and older vessels such as the Miranda, Excelsior, Norway, and New Orleans classes. Uh, Initially, the Cardassians wanted to also develop a much larger, more powerful design to oppose the Ambassador and Akira and the upcoming Nebula design. But this proved to be beyond the resources and the project was dropped in the early stages. Instead, to decide to build a very large number of Galor class ships to operate under hunter packs of two or three together against the more powerful Starfleet ships. The Galor is a rugged, sensible design. The engineering section is mounted in the forward end of the single hull structure, a move which puts the drive systems well forward of the center of gravity. This makes the design inherently stable in all flight regimes, greatly simplifying many of the control systems, although it does reduce the vessel's maneuverability somewhat. The single high power phaser bank is located directly ahead of the engineering area, reducing the length of conduit between the warp core and the weapon, which increases the system's resilience to battle damage. The control spaces are directly above the blades in the vessel's center line, while a long narrow hull projecting aft from the hold of the fuel tanks, or Geesh, if I can only speak correctly. All right. While the long hull projecting aft from them holds the fuel tanks in habitation areas and other less essential systems. The useful uh, power, powerful phaser banks was intended to allow the Galor to blast through the shields of an enemy vessel in just a few bursts. The philosophy, which was proved somewhat optimistic over the years, the phasers are roughly equal to Starfleet's Type 9 model, which is very powerful for a ship of the size of the Galor, but the single installation gives the Galor a relatively poor firing arc for this weapon, something not improved by the ship's low maneuverability. The medium power disruptor banks are roughly equal to a Type 7 phaser, which is more in line with the Galor's size. Originally, it was planned to use burst fire torpedoes, but while the but as with the Romulans, the Cardassians have had great difficulty deploying this technology to the point where it can be used safely and efficiently. The Gaylord thus has three standard torpedo tubes, two forward, one aft. The extra room uh, this leftover allowed the torpedo complement to be increased from the planned 160 to 200 torpedoes. The Galor was generally proved a useful enough vessel for the Cardassian military, but is not really a serious competitor with the Federation Nebula class or the Klingon Vorcha. The planned run of 3,000 or more ships never materialized, and only 1,800 have been built in all. Less than 1,000 of them um, of the better Type 3 model. Uh, when the Klingons invaded Cardassia in 2372, the Cardassian fleet uh, inferiority was shown. Some 300 Galar ships were destroyed within less than a week at the hands of the Klingon fleet. The chaos caused by the invasion had severely disrupted the resources for the Cardassian military, already stretched thin during the revolution of Cardassia. Although Cardassia itself is now a Dominion member, their own fleet is not tough or not thought to be receiving a great deal of support from the Dominion and its ability to conduct operations, especially beyond the Cardassian border. Um, this thought to be seriously compromised. The Galors have suffered heavily at the hands of the Allies during the war. Okay, so getting back to the actual stats that Daystrom uses, this is a destroyer. We have units which are the Alandra, Kraxon, and Pakesh, which was destroyed. And then there's 844 others built, with 668 having been lost. Let's see. This was commissioned in 2343 all the way up to present. We do have a length of 371.88 meters, a beam of 192.23 meters, a height of 59 meters, giving it roughly about 15 decks, has a mass of 1,687,000 metric tons estimated, with a crew of about 300. We have one high power phaser bank, eight medium power spiral wave disruptors, up from the six that were listed before, with a total output of 13,000 terawatts, three Model 2 photon torpedo tubes with 150 rounds. Defense systems has a standard shield system with a total capacity of 729,000 terajoules. Heavy Kellandide double hull plus 7 centimeter high density armor, standard level structural integrity field. Having a normal warp cruise of 6, maximum cruise rating is 8.9, and a maximum rated is 9.2 for 8 hours. Strength indexes. Beam firepower is 260. Torpedo firepower is 225. Weapon range and accuracy is a 300. Shield strength is a 270. Hull armor is an 820. Ship speed being at 852, and combat maneuverability being a 2,940, giving it an overall strength index of 347. Let's see, we already same diplomatic capability, probably around a 2. Expected hull life is going to be about 50 years, with minor and standard refits being every 2 years and major refits every 16 years. Okay, now let's get into our D6 stats and see how well we do with transferring this information and what Memory Alpha, Memory Beta have done with D6 Holocron. All right, so looking at the Galor class, this is considered a battle cruiser, capital scale. Now they have a length listed here as 371.88 meters long, which I think is the same that Daystrom had. A width of 192.23 meters and a height of 59 meters. This is a size 6 class starship with a ship mass of 1,678,000 metric tons. I think that's almost identical as to what Daystrom had listed on theirs. An autopilot with a 3D above our normal galactic standard, a crew of 300 with a skeleton crew of 30, being able to run it with a plus 10 difficulty. Passengers of about 485, most presumably troops. Cargo capacity of 166,000 metric tons. Enough consumables for about 2 years. Now they have a standard warp drive of 5, or warp cruise of 5. A maximum is 8.4, and max rated is 9.6 for 6 hours. Now that lines up a little bit closer to what Daystrom had. I think it's off just a little bit, so that's not too bad. Of course, we're going to have our nav computer. This does have a maneuverability of 2D plus 1. Now that might be a little bit on the high side, but that's all fair and fine. Space speed is a 7.5. We have a hull strength of 4D plus 2 and a shield strength of 2D. Sensor wise, we have a passive scan going out to 6 kilometers at a 2D bonus, an active scan out to 13 kilometers at a 2D plus 1 bonus, an active search going out to 17 kilometers at a 3D bonus, and a focus out to 500 meters at a 3D plus 2 bonus. Now we have the Durvan class disruptor cannon. Now this is an aft location, or listed as an aft location. Something tells me that that's kind of wrong. This should be forward because that's right underneath our kind of top lip here. Let's see. Fire control is 1D plus 1, has a rate of fire of 5, and damage of 5D. Now we have 15 Tavar class spiral wave disruptors. Let's see, we have 5 360-degree forward, 1 starboard, one starboard, um, 2 aft, 4 dorsal, 3 degrees, 3 ventral. So they're placed well all over. Okay, so location 3 forward, 5 starboard wing, 5 port wing, and aft dorsal, aft ventral. All right. Fire control is 1D plus 1. Fire rate is 3, and damage is 4D. Now we also have photon torpedo launchers, 1 forward and 1 aft. Fire control is 1D plus 1, a spread of 10, and damage is 4D with about 200 Type 2 photon torpedoes on board. We also have 3 Delta class tractor beams, with a rate of fire of 1, which makes all the sense, and strength of 4D plus 2. We also have 2 class Alpha tractor beams for the shuttle bay, and a strength of 3D. Let's see, we have transporters. We have 2 personal transporters with a 6-person capacity. We have 4 emergency transporters with a 16-person capacity, a listing of 4 cargo transporters at 400 kilograms. We do have high key class fighters. It can carry up to 13 of these. So we start getting something that can be a little bit of a carrier, which does help boost what it's capable of, especially as a kind of wolf pack. If you have 3 of these out there, and now you can shove out, say, even 10 fighters, leaving 3 just standard shuttles of some sort. That's another 30 fighters you got to worry about buzzing around you. So that does very well fit into one heck of a conundrum. We do have 60 probes on board. The Galor class cruisers are primarily, or were the primary class of warship by the Cardassian military during the latter half of the 24th century. The Galor shared the same basic structure as the Keldon class counterparts, but were used far more frequently by the Cardassian military. Let's see, commonly referred to as warships or war vessels, this class was also designated by the Cardassians and the Marquis as cruisers. The Federation Alliance also known to classify them as destroyers. This is from the Next Generation, the Chase, DS9, Past Prologue, and Defiant, Voyager, Fury. Let's see, we have during the late 2360s, these warships had 3 subclasses, the Galor class, Type 3 being considered the top of the line. That comes from Ensign Rowe from the Next Generation. During the Dominion War, these vessels were classified by Starfleet as destroyers in relation to the Dominion counterparts. Tactical systems, the arsenals of the Galor class warships vary, though typically they are armed with numerous phaser arrays, although the Galor class vessels were considerably inferior to the Federation's Galaxy class starships. They proved to be very effective against the Miranda class and other older Federation starships. These ships were often seen operating as part of squadrons of 3, possibly to make up for their tactical weaknesses compared to contemporary warships of other interstellar powers. In 2369, Captain Edward Jellicoe ordered a fleet of Galor-class starships to leave the McAllister C5 Nebula one by one, ejecting their primary phaser coils. In 2370, Cardassian colonists living in the demilitarized zone modified Cardassian shuttles, which they equipped with Galor-class phaser banks to protect their colonial interests. And this comes from Memory Alpha, Memory Beta, and of course, Ship Recognition Manual. All right. So another interesting ship, another wonderful adversary to throw out at us in our Federation and Starfleet journeys throughout the galaxy. And another one to kind of add into the books. Now, this is a little bit more of a common ship, and I'm sure plenty of other people have come up with it. Hopefully, if you're doing a Dominion style campaign or something else, this is a great addition to throw into there. Um, and to sit here and say one ship by itself may not be too bad depending on what you're going up against it with. But if it is doing a wolf pack with 3 ships at one time, you may be in for a serious fight. So keeping that all in mind. With that, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. Hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.